JJ, I thought had a solid game today. He still tends to have moments where he's inaccurate with the football. He missed some guys today. Let's just be honest. But on the flip side, what's encouraging this is that he is showing more and more of that dynamic of why he's playing over a guy like Cade Mack, and that's with his legs. He made a lot of really good plays today with his legs, and that was great to see. And then he has some good throws as well, but he was also inaccurate. So that's that inconsistent. That's that roller coaster that he seems to be on, and we want him to not be go from being like this to being more consistent. So that's something to monitor. And look, let's call it what it is. You know, for this team to be able to beat Ohio State, we're going to have to get a more consistent performance out of JJ. No, he doesn't probably have to be a hero based on the way we run the football, but he does have to be consistent. When he has guys open, he can't throw it behind him. He can't overthrow it. Can't throw it too high. He has to be accurate with the football, and that's one of the things you hope he continues to get better at. I can't hear you. You're on mute, I think.
I'm a bonehead. Don't worry about it. David Lillian says they need to find and agree on an identity in the red zone. I Number one, thank you, David, for contributing to the show. Appreciate it. And I feel like I was on one specific side on David's point to where I would agree with David 100%. And I feel like now I'm in the middle because I think there is something to be said of just taking care of the game that is right in front of you and just moving on to the next one. Like and I get it because I want to, right, my goal for Michigan and the lens that I look through of the Michigan football performance is of how do we turn this into a national championship? How do we turn this into beating Ohio State, winning the conference, winning a playoff game, and getting to a national championship? And it's improving every single week, right? Mm-hmm. So while I do understand you would love to not kick as many field goals as Michigan did today, but at the same time, what I look at is the only thing that matters and counts is beating the team that is lining up against you that week, right? So Michigan doesn't have to play Ohio State today. They don't have to play the Iowa team today. They don't have to play Penn State today. The only team they had to play was Michigan State, and they dominated that team. Now, I like I said, I do understand David's point of you want to dominate and you want to look your best every single week, and I agree with that. I would love to see that, but with analyzing Michigan and doing what we do right today, and then also what we've done in the past year, almost 2 years, it's just I think we all have to get to a point where we understand how Jim Harbaugh approaches this thing, and the way that he approaches it is just not the way that we all want it to be, right? Yeah. He approaches it as a week to week thing, right? So we beat Michigan State today. Jim Harbaugh is extremely happy, and he should be, right? Because they won the game convincingly, right? And some people, some critics may say, well, doing it that way is not going to beat Ohio State, or whatever the case may be. Doing it that way is not gonna win a national championship.
Right.
But I would argue, and really, in Jim Harbaugh's defense, so to speak, is, well, we don't really know that, right? Like, so I think I've moved a little bit more to the center, where I just say, listen, like your only job is to beat the team that is on the other sideline that you're playing, and that's what Michigan did today.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where I think as a fan, you need to ask yourself, why, I'm speaking for myself, but based on seeing everybody else's reactions to it, the game as well, ask yourself, why do I feel like there's much to be desired with the passing game? And if you take a chance to ask yourself that, then you come to the realization it's because there's there's much more that we should be able to do with the guys that we have, right? You just feel like even knowing we know how Harbaugh likes to run this team, right? And we're happy with the win. But you feel like with guys with the speed of Roman Wilson, he had a terrible day today. Cornelius Johnson and his size, right? Um, guys like that, where it's like, I just feel like we can do more. We can take some more shots down the field, man. I mean, where is the, case in point? We don't have. I don't think we have anybody Keon Coleman size. That kid is a basketball player
Yes,
who plays
absolutely.
football. He's going to like he's used to jumping and winning 50-50 balls. Trying to get rebounds and stuff like that. 6'4", good size. I don't know we have a kid quite like that, but you want to see guys just take a couple shots down the field. One thing you got to get MSU credit for is like, you know what? We got a guy that can win a 50-50 ball. Let's take a shot. Why not? We got a one-on-one matchup. We identified a one-on-one matchup with Andrew Anthony. Let's just take a shot. Let's see if our guy can win that matchup, right? We have a quarterback that has a really good arm, great opportunity. And we just don't seem to do that enough or at all. I won't even say enough. We don't do that. And those are the things where it's like, if you can occasionally complete those passes, you add a whole different element to your offense that the defense has to account for, which then in turn opens up other aspects of your offense, like the running game that you like to lean on. So that's why it's important to just bring it up, because you feel like we're just this offense. It's still there's still areas that this offense can just expand and make themselves even more explosive and diversified that we just don't seem to do because of our coach's forte. And it's hard to look at that. It'd be one thing if we were a team like a program like Wisconsin. And this is no bashing of Wisconsin. Wisconsin, when they're really rolling, where look, let's be honest. Wisconsin's forte is not recruiting 4 or 5 star receivers, right? They weren't getting kids like Cornelius Johnson, Donovan People Jones, Tariq Black. I know I'm going back in a history machine, but I'm just trying to give examples of how they recruited receivers. They don't get kids like that. So it makes sense that they're not going to tailor their offense to try to take advantage of those type of athletes. But Michigan does get it. Not like Ohio State or programs like that, but we do get our fair share of pretty talented receivers. But we don't seem to try to utilize them or utilize different aspects of their physical abilities. So, it can be a little bit, frustrating from that aspect.